the Daily HUD. My name is Sierra.
And I'm Dom, and it is, as you said, the Friday edition. We made it. It's the weekend. It's time to talk about all the esports and gaming action that's going to be happening over the course of the weekend and what you can expect from that as well.
Yes, we've got some Fortnite news along with PUBG, the NPL and the PEL, Overwatch League All Stars, CWL results. The Rainbow Six Finals are happening this weekend.
Yes, we're also looking at the League of Legends MSI Semifinals and Finals, which of course haven't happened yet. The Dota 2 EPICENTER results that are still ongoing right now. We're talking some NBA 2K League results, some F1 Esports, and of course, in gaming news, we're talking about Epic Games having their first major storefront online sale, in addition to a potential Sony and Microsoft partnership that has just been agreed upon in the near future.
A little bit of a marriage,
yeah,
but not with ketchup. I work in a restaurant, we marry ketchups.
That's no.
No, it doesn't work. The joke.
Don't get it.
I fall flat.
So let's keep going then and talking about what's happening with Fortnite, because the World Cup Week 6 of the online qualifiers is about to begin, and everyone is waiting to see what's gonna go wrong this week.
What will happen wrong this week? We've had cheating scandals, bug issues, point distribution errors, and more. It seems like Epic Games is finally listening a bit more to its fans with the nerfs to the baller health pool and, well, of course, the drum gun damage nerf, but it's still nearly a weekly cadence that we continue on with. Epic hasn't shown any indication towards changing their event or expectations of the players, but the sheer massive size of the population and the exceptional prize pool seem to keep players flocking back to this competitive experience, and I wonder if those players that were barred are back in this week. Who's to say? In other competitive Fortnite news, the weekend after E3 will see the Fortnite Summer Block Party to be held at the Forum in LA, Los Angeles. On the 15th and 16th, we'll see the first creative tournament in which 8 teams of 4 compete in a new player-made game. And on Sunday, we'll witness the Fortnite Celebrity Pro-Am, a repeat of last year's Celebrity Fortnite tournament. And so far, we've got a handful of celebrities that have signed on.
Yeah, running through those real quick. We've got Cloakzy, Dylan Francis, who is a DJ, Dr. Lupo, and Jordan Fisher, a musician. We've also got Pokimane from League of Legends and Martin Doherty, who is of Churches. And we've also got Valkyrie and Justin Jones, who plays for the LA Chargers.
Oh, wow.
So we're already starting to fill out with some very, very big names coming into this tournament. And I know Logic as well, the rapper, also plays Fortnite.
Oh, really?
And in his album that he just dropped, I forget the name of the album, he dropped it maybe a week ago. He kind of talks a little bit of garbage on it, but he's still playing it apparently. He's been talking about it for a while.
I bet his character looks super cool.
Yeah, probably.
I bet he has like a lot of cool gear.
But hey, that's only the first few players that we know of. However, as the tournament fills out, I'm sure we're going to get more and more information as we get closer to the weekend. But I want to ask you, what do you think is going to go wrong this week? We've had cheating, we've had teaming, we've had bugs, we've had tournament organization errors leading to point misdistribution. What's it going to be this time?
I think maybe people just won't be able to get off the bus.
Yeah, it's just going to go straight to the end. Yeah. So actually, funnily enough, people have found issues in, I want to say, Neo Tilted, where there are parts of the floor that aren't actually there.
Oh.
So if you mine through the floor, you just fall off the map and die.
Really?
Yes. So I don't know if the bus has that exact same thing, but yeah, well.
We'll see. We'll really see what happens.
Yeah.
I really like to see their event is having such a variety of celebrities.
Yeah, the
show
Pro-Am.
up. That's pretty awesome.
It's happening the weekend after E3. So if you're still in Los Angeles after E3 finishes that Tuesday through Thursday, head on over to the Forum and maybe get into some Fortnite fan swag. Exactly. And of course, there will be fan events at the event as well. So if you're not a celebrity and you can't make it onto the stage, you at the very least can play around with your friends at some public computers.
Yeah, maybe you'll get to play with those celebrities.
Could do, yeah. I mean, what's his face? The Laker was just saying going to events like this is actually great because I'm a massive dude who plays for the Lakers, but when I go to this event, I'm the one who's standing out from everyone else.
Oh, right.
Because everyone is all flocking to Ninja and Tfue and the massive Fortnite celebrities, and the regular life celebrities just get to be regular people.
Default world.
Yeah, exactly. It's the upside down for the celebrities.
That's hilarious. That's pretty cool. That's good. Yeah, okay. Well, hopefully Fortnite can make it through this weekend without any huge scandals.
Of course. Fingers crossed.
Looking on to our next battle royale, both Europe and North America's premier PUBG League return. Starting with North America, the NPL will return tomorrow afternoon with its first 4 games. Then we'll see the return of the league on with the second 4 to close out week 3. Now here's the quick rundown of where things are in the standings. The Rumblers 119, Tempo Storm 115, Player One Esports 112, United 100, and Cloud9 at 108. All these points remain very close until Lazarus in 8th place at 104 points. This top half of the bracket looks as intense as ever.
Yeah, so what's interesting to note is that we're going into week 3 for the NPL, and right now, the top first through 8 teams are maybe 14 points away from each other, which is 1 game worth of difference. So with 3 more weeks still to be played and 8 games per week, that comes out to 24 total games. So we could get a lot of variation over the course of this tournament. We could be seeing some wacky
it's
stuff.
too close to call, really.
Exactly.
I mean, we've got 3 more weeks.
It's super early on. And as we've said, 16 teams, the top 8 are that close. The second 8 aren't that far behind.
Right.
So there's still going to be a lot of movement.
We might have a jump from the bottom to the top.
It's
Why
entirely
not?
possible.
It'll just take 1 game.
Yeah, that you're absolutely right. In Europe, though, the PEL will see its return as well. With week 1 of phase 2, we're finally getting a chance to look back at PUBG in Europe after the conclusion of its kickoff cup earlier this month. The PEL will be running for 8 weeks with a total of 96 total matches to be played before its finals later this year. So again, PUBG is doing the opposite to what Fortnite is doing, where Fortnite is saying, we're having these weekly opens with the big tournament at the end. PUBG is going for the more standard team-based route with squads where you consistently perform in the league, participate in miniature tournaments in between the leagues, and then get up to the grand finals at the end of the year.
That sounds like a better way to approach this battle royale scenario.
Yeah, at least for a game like PUBG, which is much more squad-oriented.
Yes, exactly, and then you have more control over what's happening. You can see things better. This Fortnite game is so massive. There's no way of having any sort of controlled
but I guess that's
scenario.
also the big question that Epic is asking, is by having the game be so open to everyone, yes, there's more variability. You can get more extreme edge cases with bugs and cheating and exploits, but anyone can participate.
Right.
You and I can go home right now in squads, get ranked up to above rank 6, and then we can compete in the weekly tournament.
Yeah.
And if we do well, we get tickets to New York for the grand finals.
That would be exciting.
So I guess that's the trade-off. Whereas in PUBG, there is an infrastructure and a system that you have to go lead up to get into that.
Lots of hoops to jump through.
But I guess in that same vein, you look at traditional sports, NFL, soccer, NHL, they all have tiered systems that you have to work up through. The amateur league, the
college ball.
College league, the league just below professional, the Premier League, and then the actual professional league itself. So there is a very clear infrastructure to work through. Epic is just dealing away with all of that and saying, you want to come to the event? You play at the event.
They're like anarchists, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
How do the PUBG teams play out against each other, the European and the North America? Are we clearly seeing a repeat of what we see with Luminosity kind of falling behind?
Sure. So it comes down
Europe?
to when we start getting these regional tournaments or the international tournaments. Right now, we don't have anything because we're in the middle of the season. In between seasons, however, in between what are called the specific phases, you get these international invitationals in which the top 2 teams from Europe get a chance to play against the top 2 teams from North America. So if you perform well regularly during the normal league, you get invited to this international event to compete against Europe and China and Korea and all of these other international tournaments.
How do those play out? Are they pretty even? Is it a pretty fair battle?
Who can say at this point?
Yeah.
So far, it looks like we're waiting to see the results of how Korea and China are going to do before we start looking at some of those top teams moving forward.
Right.
But again, we're in the middle of the season right now. So we can predict and postulate.
No speculation.
Exactly. We can predict and postulate as much as we want, but it's not until they actually hit the stage that we're going to say, North America is #1.
Well,
which
hopefully.
Hardly ever happens.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen too much. Okay. Looking at our next big contender, the Overwatch League All Stars event concluded yesterday evening, and that was quite a doozy, Dom. You got to enjoy the game.
Yes. That was a lot of fun. The post-Stage 2 celebration of the games gave us a mid-year tease of what some of the best players from all of the best teams might look like when fully stacked together on one single roster. While a majority of the fun events were played out on Wednesday, yesterday evening's games gave us the All-Star match on the Atlantic, between the Atlantic and the Pacific. Ultimately, however, it seemed as though the Atlantic Division had a superior roster to play with overall, and they were able to close out the Atlantic versus Pacific scoreline with a 4-1 scoreline. So looks like the Atlantic squad still proving a little bit of superiority here.
Yeah, maybe because they're so close to Europe, just across the pond.
Could be entirely possible, yeah. But again, this was a fun style event, the All Stars event. We had the playoffs last weekend in which the San Francisco Shock were finally able to take the victory that they have been effectively demanding for so long.
Right.
But now immediately afterwards, it's like, great.
Fun
all the
times.
try-hard is out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's have fun.
Yeah,
and
it's great.
it turned out to be
Bragging
actually
rights.
really great. Yeah.
Okay, all right, East Coast, you can take this one.
This
you can have this one.
Yeah, but Pacific is looking at it.
Our next shooter should be familiar to most folks as the CWL continued in an inexorable
crawl.
Wow,
Yeah.
inexorable crawl towards the end of the season. That sounds exhausting.
Yes. Now closing out week 7 of the league, the matches came in really fast and actually concluded with a relatively short day for the CWL. In our first match, we had Reciprocity going 0-3 against FaZe Clan. What you can now see on your screen is Evil Geniuses against Gen G, and this stands out because EG took this series 3-0 against what was the best team in the league. Afterwards, we saw Midnight going 3-0 against Luminosity, and then after that, Optic Gaming went 3-1 against UYU. And it happened again. We talked about it yesterday. Gen G, #1 team in the league. They had to be able to take these wins, and then they went against Evil Geniuses, who are near the bottom half of the standings, and dropped a 3-0 overall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Not great.
Poor Gen G. As expected, their rivals in Optic Gaming took their victory against UYU, but with this unexpected loss, things are looking a bit more dire for the fans of Gen G.
Yes.
Indeed, this is a loss. We now have a clear 11-10, 9-8 scoreline for the teams in 1st through 4th, respectively. Still a solid conclusion to the day's matches.
Yeah, so with this, we've got, as you said, a much more clear look at the standings for those top 8 teams. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4 at 11, 10, 9, and 8 apiece. So there can be a lot of movement in the seeding between that. I just think it's surprising for most folks who saw Gen G coming in so strong at the beginning of the season, take a break during that mid-season time off, and now they look like a completely different team in their first week back.
Yeah.
So maybe they can recover, but it's going to be an uphill battle with Optics still looking so strong.
Quick and dirty games.
Yeah, exactly. Only a single series of the 4 went to more than 4 games. Every single other one was just a clean 3-0. Yeah.
Okay, up next, we're looking at the Season 9 finals for the Rainbow Six Pro League. 8 teams have competed throughout their regular season to get invited to the Milan finals. And now that final hour is upon us. Starting at 7 a.m. tomorrow and running through a single elimination bracket, these 8 teams will compete for their share of $275,000. Those teams competing are the Fnatic Australia versus Nora Rego, that's Japan. We have Dark Zero from the US versus Team Empire from Russia, FaZe Clan out of Brazil, and the Slim Esports from France, of course. Evil Geniuses are USA, and the Immortals are Brazil. Wow, what a diverse group of teams that we have competing.
So again, the Rainbow Six has leagues all over the world, and the top teams from each of those leagues received the invite to come to the Milan finals. Of course, some of the bigger leagues did get a handful of more tickets, such as USA getting 2.
And Brazil got 2.
Yeah, Brazil also. Now, those matches are going to be running throughout the weekend, and you might have to multi-stream a handful of these events on a couple of monitors to make sure you don't miss any of the action, because esports does not stop there. As we speak, just concluding, the first semifinal match of the League of Legends Mid-Season Invitational has just concluded. Here's your first and last spoiler if you want to still check out the series unblemished, because it is awesome and it is exactly what you would expect. So spoiler alert, here we go. On your screen right now, you can see Team Liquid taking on Invictus Gaming, and you'll notice that scoreline at the top. Team Liquid took Game 1 against IG, the current world champions.
Right.
Just afterward, what you can see on your screen, this is Game 2. Team Liquid continued to take an advantage and roll it out against IG. Double lift. going for a very, very confident Vayne pick. Now here on your screen, you can see Team Liquid are pushing forward towards the Nexus to try to end out Invictus Gaming in this game too, because they know that they have to deal with the Kaisa from Jackie Love. If that gets out of control, that's going to be a huge problem. But Double Lift moves forward. Team Liquid make their play. Core JJ lands the massive knock-up, and with that, Jackie Love goes down.
Jackie!
And Team Liquid, without that primary defender, start pulling the minions forward to push up against the Nexus itself and close out the victory, ultimately bringing it down and winning this game too. Now, coming into Game 3, Invictus Gaming, they looked really, really angry after the results of this match on your screen right there. As we're watching program over here as we're watching it. But in that Game 3, Invictus Gaming, they've dropped a single match coming into the group stage, and now they've just dropped twice as many against Team Liquid within their first round. They come into Game 3, you can see rookie on LeBlanc goes absolutely crazy. He does something wacky, like 950 total damage per minute on the champion that he has a world champ skin for, which is a big boon to them. And ultimately, Invictus Gaming are able to take Game 3 overall. But then it comes down to Game 4. Team Liquid still on match point. And we got to give big props to Xsmithy. He played super aggressive in the jungle, ganking the bottom lane, ganking the mid lane, constantly maneuvering on the map, looking for those big engages, partnered with Core JJ. That gave such a big opening to Jensen and Double Lift to close it out. And even Impact was able to keep the Shy locked down for the duration of the entire game. Team Liquid, they had a massive hurdle to overcome. Effectively a mountain to try and climb if they wanted to challenge the titans that are Invictus Gaming. But somehow they did it. For the first time in history, a North American team has made it all the way up to the grand finals. For what feels like history, it might have been season 1 or season 2, we might have had a North American team go this far, but at a massive international event like this, it is absolutely mind-breaking. This is one of the biggest upsets in League of Legends international level history in the memory of the game.
This is not an LOL moment.
This is the, I know. This is not a laugh out loud moment unless it's a laugh out loud of relief that finally they're making it.
Yeah, there's been some change up.
Yeah.
No more domination.
But still, Invictus Gaming ended up dropping down. As we said, Core JJ popped off on his Alistar. He was constantly forcing bad positions and bad engages and fights for the Invictus Gaming roster. Team Liquid tried to push back, but still, it was just a valiant defense from the world champions. The momentum had swung away from them, and Team Liquid closed out the match and closed out the series to advance to the grand finals. Now, moving on to our next game, tomorrow we're going to get the chance to see G2 versus SKT. There is a chance we could actually get a North America versus Europe finals at an international event. And this has not happened in years, in a very, very long time.
Wow, that would be very impressive.
We created the All Stars event and Rift Rivals, the Funsies event at Riot Games, specifically so that we could get the rivalry between North America and Europe figured out, because they never made it far enough internationally to actually compete against each other.
And this might be their moment.
And this might be the chance to actually see them compete on the international stage. Of course, that entirely hinges on G2 defeating SKT, and if Faker's rise last week was any indicator, it's going to be a bit of a challenge for G2, though we have been seeing some pretty good stuff from them as well.
Not impossible.
Exactly. Nothing is impossible now. Miracles can happen. Team Liquid are proving that after years of competing, they can do anything.
They finally climbed the mountain.
They're up to the finals. Now, the only disappointing thing would be if they go to the finals and just get smacked down.
Yeah.
Because after the biggest upset in League of Legends history, then to just immediately get knocked right back on your butt would be kind of a bummer.
Yeah, that would be a bummer, and that would also be surprising, but maybe like their win was maybe that would confer their win was a fluke or something like that.
Exactly,
like,
it could be.
Beginner's luck.
However, it still has to be said though that by what we imagine to be the rule of balances, it should still be competitive because they were able to compete against Invictus Gaming. They should be able to do better, but nobody really knows until the actual day of play.
Yeah.
And again, on Sunday, we're going to have those grand finals. We'll be bringing you those results on Monday as soon as we get our hands on them, but highly recommend that you tune in Sunday morning. The matches start at 3 a.m. Eastern, which is midnight Pacific time.
Not bad.
So if you have to sleep and you have that weakness of will that you can't stay up that late and watch the games live, try to check it out spoiler-free to actually watch that series overall, because this we're making history here.
Yeah,
ladies and
these are
gents.
matches to watch with
Yeah.
League of Legends. Fantastic.
It's a real big deal.
Okay, so in our MOBA news, we're looking at Dota 2, the EPICENTER major qualifiers for both Europe and North America. Starting things off by looking in Europe, the second round of 14 games has finally concluded. Following the format, the #1 team advanced, and the next 4 teams, 2nd to 5th, will now compete in a double elimination bracket for the final 2 spots to advance to the EPICENTER major itself. Advancing straight out of the group stage in first place is Team Secret, in a 6-1 overall, dropping only 1 game to Team Liquid. Going into the double elimination bracket is Ninjas in Pajamas versus Alliance and OG versus Team Liquid. As of the time of this filming, those matches are currently ongoing and both have concluded game 1 of their best of 3s. Alliance took game 1 over NIP, Ninjas in Pajamas, and Team Liquid are currently 1-0 over OG, though a reverse sweep could definitely still be in the cards.
Yeah, and now looking at the North American side of things, Forward Gaming are #1. They're the #1 team to advance out of their groups at a whopping 7-0 in first place, having an undefeated group stage. In 2nd through 5th, we've got Evil Geniuses versus Beast Coast and J-Storm versus Complexity. And as we said, as of the time of this filming, those games have not yet begun. They're going to start as soon as the European matches, the first round at least of those playoffs, have completed. Once we have those final 2 teams, in addition to our first place qualifiers, so 3 total from each of the regions, they will qualify to the main stage of the tournament, which is set to begin on June 22nd. And that is the last major of the Dota 2 Pro Circuit before the International 2019. And that prize pool is getting bigger and bigger
Also,
as the days go by.
I kind of want to have it be noted that this is going to be in Russia. That that this competition, the
major,
EPICENTER, is in Russia, which is very interesting to me. I thought just to have a lot of international players come there. Do they have the Empire
infrastructure?
No, do they have a team that's going to be in this majors?
Who are they?
The Russians. Do the Russians
Is there
have
a Russian team qualifying?
Yeah, for the Dota.
Presumably, I would imagine so. Right now, we're just watching the European Western side of things, though in the European Eastern side, things could still be a little bit up for grabs. Again, many regions are competing in this tournament.
There are so many regions, but I don't recall there was Southeast Asia. I don't know. I haven't seen any Russian names come up. So
yeah, well, we'll have to check the flags after this. But hey,
advantage.
Currently the Internationals prize pool is just ahead of $12 million, and that's a 25% ahead mark of where we were in 2018, which started at the exact same number, 1.6 million. So following similar linear growth over time, we're expecting an estimated final prize pool of $32 to $33 million for the International 2019.
Que bueno matemáticas.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah, they're gonna make lots and lots of money. I believe it. Okay. I'm gonna bet that we're gonna get 35 million.
35?
Yeah, that's
sure.
I'm gonna put that down.
Okay.
That's my
That's where you're going. All right,
recorded.
sure. Yeah.
What do you think? Is that too high?
I mean, you already said above, so I'll say below.
Okay.
I think we're going to be just shy of 35. We're going to be around 33-ish.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But hey, turning our attention now towards sports game news. The NBA 2K League also saw more of its games last night and is now set to close out Week 5 later this evening. The matches opened up with Jazz Gaming versus the Cavs Legion and ultimately ended up going Jazz Gaming's direction, with Jazz going 69-58 against the Cavs. Afterwards, the Bucks took on Kingsguard at 61-63. Warriors Gaming managed to take a 64-28, and Grizz Gaming closed out the day with 67-52. Now, the first matchup went as we expected, with going in Jazz's favor. However, our game to watch last night was Bucks versus Kingsguard, and that went down to the wire with a 61-63 scoreline overall. Though Kingsguard were favored coming in by having one more match win off the Bucks put up a very valiant fight, and this bodes really, really well for the team, even though they ended up dropping down, because it shows that they are still being competitive with these top-of-the-table teams. Currently, Kingsguard are now sitting happily at 4th in the standings, and they are one of 3 out of 21 teams to crest over 6 wins by Week 5. Of course, immediately after that game, we had the Warriors systematically dismantle Magic Gaming with 64-28, and that's pretty brutal.
Yeah, very brutal game.
That's real tough.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job, Warriors. But I'm still nervous because that Jazz Gaming, man, they are hard to beat. They're hard to beat.
They're looking for it.
They're getting it. So today we've got games happening today, Friday. We've got Hawkstallion versus Grizz Gaming, Wizards District versus Jazz Gaming, Lakers versus Warriors, and Bucks versus Wizard Districts. Don't forget Net SGC versus the Lakers. Our double-up teams for today's games are the Lakers and the Wizards Gaming squad. Lakers have an uphill battle as they're still at 1-4 right now. The first challenge for them will be the Warriors, which should be real tough. But their second match against Net SGC looks to be a bit more competitive, so we're looking for at least a 1-1 for the day for the Lakers. Oh, I'm sure Dom's really hoping for that. Wizards District are currently at an 0-4. We just want a single win. It'll be tough. It's going to get down to the wire on the amount of games the Wizards District have left to try and catch up and at least get somewhere in the middle of the standings.
Yeah, and again, this is a team that's at 0-4, and they're playing 2 games today, one of which against a top 4 team in the league right now.
Yeah.
So at the very least, we're hoping for a 1-1. If we get a 2-0 day from them, that would be great because it shows they can actually compete and start putting up some numbers. But again, they're running out of time if they want to start getting some wins. Only 8 weeks left, I want to say.
Yeah, they got to start getting those wins if they want to stay in the standings.
It's going to be real tough.
Yeah.
However,
well, good luck to you.
Yes, looking at our next sports game, we've got the F1 Esports. This is the final qualification event for this weekend. The Catalunya event is the last qualifier for the F1 Esports series. If there are still any of you at home who are interested in trying to compete on your own platform of choice, you have until the close of the event on Sunday to try and qualify on time. Now, as a result of this event, we will be getting a qualifying race-off in just over a week on the 27th and 29th of May. The winners of that race-off are going to be entered into the pro draft on July 17th by the pro teams before entering the remaining pro circuit. So we're still not into the full-on traditional pro league just yet. We're still in the qualifiers. We're still in the preseason beforehand, but we're getting there, and this is the last qualifier before that race-off and that draft.
So the race-off in Catalunya?
Yes, so that is the name of the event.
Okay.
I want to say the actual map itself is Spain.
Okay.
And the whole idea is you are given a specific car on a specific track and some certain conditions. I want to say for this one, what is it? Your wing is damaged and your tires are burnt out. But you can choose to go get new tires by pulling off of the track and try to make up the time for it, or you can try to complete the race with the damage to your car and the old tires against other racers as well. And you're trying to beat a certain time. You're trying to beat someone else who already did that race. And what's really neat about this is actually mimicking someone who actually did this race in real life in F1.
Yes.
And spoiler alert for those of you who are trying to avoid it, the actual racer whose time you are trying to beat did not change his tires. He went with the damaged wing and kept his old tires on the track for the duration of the entire race. So if you could beat his time, you can probably qualify, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it will definitely be tough. You'll probably have to lay off the brakes a little bit. You don't want to wear those tires too much. I mean, there's a lot of
the hard part. In order to go fast, you have to slow down when you get to the turns, and then in order to slow down, you start burning through your tires a little bit more.
This was the exact same vehicle. I mean, I know it's on games, but
a virtual recreation.
Right, a virtual. Yeah, because it is interesting because when you're sitting in the jump seat, when you're sitting in the car, you're going, you can maybe control, downshift instead of having to use the brakes and those kinds of little tactical things.
Theoretically,
in reality.
it is possibly easier by a video game standpoint because you're using a controller or a racing wheel instead of actually traveling at 200 miles an hour.
Which could be dangerous.
Yes.
And we do not advise that.
Yes.
No.
Unless you are an actual licensed F1 driver, in which case you
go
do you.
For it.
You do you, man.
You do you, man.
But again, that event is still going to be concluding this weekend, and those qualifiers will lead into the race-off on the 27th and 29th of May.
Okay,
yes.
So the end of this month, we have something to look forward to. Good luck, everybody, in those qualifiers.
Yes. And now speaking towards our next gaming news in general, Epic Games is finally having a super sale. However, it's not quite as easy for them as they wanted. Epic Games is trying to get their storefront bigger and bigger by getting more games and become a challenger to Steam, and the way that they're doing that is by having a massive summer sale. It's $10 off of every game, that's $15 or more, plus a discount that gets added on depending on the game. However, a couple of publishers aren't happy with that. They're having some issues and are instead deciding to pull the games entirely from the storefront.
Well, I mean, that's got to hit their back pocket, basically.
Exactly. That's the question for Epic Games. Obviously, they take a less of a price cut than the Steam storefront. However, it seems like maybe Epic didn't quite communicate this well enough in advance to the publishers and the developers themselves. Supercell is one example of this. One of their games was Hades, which was $19.99 before the sale hit.
Oh, so that's not even a bad price.
After the sale hit, it dropped down to $10, and then there was an additional 25% taken off, down to $7 in total. However, Supergiant was unhappy about that. They decided instead to change the total price of the game to adjust the sale price. They raised the total price to $25, which brings it down to $15, and then after the 25%, it drops down to about $11. Fans weren't happy about that because suddenly a game that was $7 for a couple of hours is now $11 with no clear reasoning. And it turns out it was a little bit of miscommunication between Epic Games and Hades, the developers of Hades, Supergiant, who put the game out in the first place. This money that Epic is effectively giving away as part of a sale isn't affecting Epic so much as it is affecting these publishers.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's so many people behind creating a game that work. And you've got I mean, it's incredible. This is kind of not really like a pair of shoes that you can just discount. You really are supporting a lot of different lives here. And making a sale, I think Epic Games should take the hit. There's no way that they should push this on to the people who are creating these games for them.
And that's where we are seeing developers starting to take a stance as well with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which is still in development. It's not even out yet. It's going to be on sale for $59.99. It did not apply as part of the 25% discount, but it did get the flat $10 off. So a handful of people were able to pre-purchase the game for $10 cheaper before it's even out.
Wow.
So again, Epic Games, they're trying to get into a competitive front with Steam where they can actually compete both monetarily and content-wise.
But can they compete with Steam?
Exactly.
I mean,
that's the big question.
Why has Steam created such a symbiotic relationship with their games that they promote? Why is that? Because
as of this time?
Yeah.
Because they're the only competitor. They were the only person in the sphere to do this. Remember when Netflix first came out and nobody else was doing video streaming, and Netflix was getting shows from Disney and HBO and all of these different channels. Because they had a monopoly effectively beforehand, everybody just went to Steam. If you wanted your game digitally distributed, you had to go to Steam.
Right.
But now, in 2019, we've got a handful of different providers. Epic Games is trying to get in on that cut. Ubisoft has their Uplay. EA has the Origin storefront. There are multiple platforms. And if a publisher is smart, they put their game on multiple platforms. Epic Games, Steam, Origin, Uplay, you name it. So that no matter what ecosystem you as a player are comfortable with, you have access to the game. That's the whole idea of digital distribution.
Yeah, potentially. Or if people are just looking for a sale, they might go to Epic Games and you lose out on that. I don't know. So with Steam, you pay a monthly
totally
subscription?
Free. Totally free.
It's free, and then you buy the games.
Yes.
At the same price that you would buy them
at the store.
At the store. That works.
You just download it immediately.
That makes sense.
You don't have to go outside and hate the sun
and see humans.
Yeah, it's so much more convenient, and it's permanently in your library.
Yeah.
If you lose your computer or you lose a disc or something like that, it doesn't matter. You still have a license on your account, and you can freely download and update it as many times as you want.
Okay.
Yeah. Very handy.
Well, Steam has that monopoly. Epic Games is trying to get in on it, but they're not really giving full disclosure to these people, to their publishers.
It seems like growing pains at this point.
Yeah.
Right now, it's hurting the publishers. However, if they continue to maneuver in this direction and flesh out their storefront a little bit more, it's going to help the consumers and the gamers overall. Competition is good because that means that, like you said, when a game goes on sale, you look at Steam, it's $60. You look at Epic, it's $40. You go to Epic, you save 20 bucks.
Yeah.
And hopefully down the line it gets taken care of so that it doesn't end up hurting the publishers on the backside as well.
Exactly. Hopefully it smooths things out and the publishers are still able to produce fantastic games for us to enjoy.
And speaking of another big sale, Nintendo is also having a little bit of a disaster. It's not so much of a disaster. It's just kind of hilarious how Nintendo is trying to get sales in here as well. Right now.
Nintendo's like kind of like our old uncle. uncle who's like a little bit like slow to the draw, and you're like, no, things are different now, uncle.
Yeah.
Like, please stop talking about that at Thanksgiving.
It's really, I mean, they're trying. We have to give points. So let's break it down for you.
I love you, Nintendo. I love you.
Nintendo is having a big sale right now where for $100 you can get 2 vouchers. You can use these vouchers to get any 2 games on the storefront. Here's where it gets weird. You only get value if the games that you get are more than $50, and even then, you don't get any DLCs or additions with those games. Compared to somebody like Steam that just takes a 20% off and then it's 20% off.
Right.
Or Epic Games that's doing a flat $10 off plus a 25% off after that. The way Nintendo is doing it is if you want to save on the game, you have to go over here, buy a voucher, go back to the storefront, look at the games that you can actually apply the voucher to, and then do the math in your head to find out if you're actually going to be saving money instead of just discounting the game.
Aww. So no bonuses, no extra little things.
Yeah, you don't get any
games.
DLCs, you don't get any additions or add-ons afterwards. It's just that crazy old uncle is like, I'm going to have a yard sale as well, and he's just selling a brand new TV from Best Buy. But you have to buy a voucher first to save $10 on the TV,
right.
So you're spending the money twice-ish. I don't know. Come on,
Plus,
Nintendo.
with taxes and stuff, that's 2 different transactions. So
exactly,
you are automatically paying more somehow.
Yeah. So it's not. It's Nintendo. I mean, they've been doing stuff like this forever.
We love Nintendo.
So, for example, Breath of the Wild came out in, I want to say 2016, maybe 2017. It's still $59.99, and then there's the full cost of the DLC, which is either $15 or $30, depending on if you get the whole thing or just the first episode. Last Horizon, which came out at about the same time, which was a similar narrative-driven experience, sold for $59.99 when it released. Right now, on the Sony Marketplace, you can get it for $15, $20 if you're outside of a sale. So it's been the same amount of time for a similar experience, and Nintendo is still charging full price. And then with the best sale they've had in ages, it's just $10 off.
Yeah.
So Nintendo's kind of still being that old uncle.
Yeah, well, maybe they just don't really need to do a sale because Nintendo just speaks for itself. People are going to buy Nintendo.
That's what they're relying on.
They're going to get that anyways. They love Nintendo. We love Nintendo. I mean, I play it. It's fun.
It seems like that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. So.
But hey, I mean, it's still just Nintendo. But speaking of Nintendo, we've also got to look at their competition in consoles.
Oh, no.
Sony and Microsoft has just done something really dangerous. They announced a new partnership to see the 2 companies working together to create, and I quote, new innovations to enhance customer experiences, which doesn't really mean a lot in terms of words, but it does mean a lot of things behind the scenes. So right now, Microsoft is putting a lot of effort into what's called Microsoft Azure, which is their cloud hosting services. Remote computers to compute things for you, to manage video games, to manage data storage, to manage application programs. It's this really, really large global platform that's intended to effectively compete with Google Cloud Services, Amazon Cloud Services, these massive, massive conglomerates. If they partner with Sony, that suddenly becomes very, very scary because not a lot of people have been able to compete or combat with Amazon or Google in this way. So if Microsoft and Sony actually partner together, they could start looking for that monopoly themselves by becoming the biggest squad in cloud computing in the world. What this means for gaming is that maybe we'll be getting cross-platform much more easily than we hoped. Maybe we'll be getting cross-computing, where Sony games on a Sony PlayStation 4 or 5 use remote computing from a Microsoft cloud service, which heretofore people haven't been doing. It just means a whole bunch of what could be a really, really cool bunch of stuff.
It could be a very nice marriage.
It very well could be.
That wording is so interesting. I'm just stuck on they're doing stuff to help you.
New customer experiences, effectively.
New customer experiences.
It's deliberately kept super, super vague.
I have no idea what that means. Like, what is a new customer experience?
We don't know. Odds are we're probably not going to see anything ourselves as consumers for the next 1 to 2 years.
You know what
at a
would be
minimum.
my new customer experience? I'm playing on the PlayStation
Sure.
and I want some ice cream, and Microsoft creates this ice cream in front of me.
Sure.
Just brings it.
Just
That would be a
acquires
new
it to you?
player experience.
I mean, you've got like
it
Amazon
just-
now where they've got drones delivering things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then there's my new
just
experience.
Like Postmates, maybe Uber Eats, are also
I
pretty
want
good.
it like digitally, made.
Created.
Yeah, I
in front
want
of
it
you want
just
3D printed ice cream.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I want. That would be a new experience?
It would be a new experience.
Yeah, this is
that'll work.
the
Star
future.
Trek Enterprise computer, new ice cream. Anyways, it also could mean perhaps Sony and Microsoft trying to get together to create a competitor to Google Stadia,
Right.
which is the new Google Cloud console that they are attempting to push and sell sometime later this year. A lot of people are still skeptical about it, but if anybody could compete, it would be Microsoft, especially now that they've partnered with Sony.
Yeah, and I can't help but think about the E3 coming up, where we're going to be missing Nintendo, we're going to be missing
Yeah.
Sony, but will Microsoft be making an
Microsoft
appearance?
is still doing their thing as
Yeah.
is expected.
Interesting.
Maybe Sony could pop up on
Yeah.
Microsoft's conference and say,
Interesting.
hey, we're going to cloud compute this thing together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a
We
new
don't know.
thing?
It's all speculation. But we do want to know what you think. Let us know down in the comments below because, hey, that's it for Friday's edition of the Daily HUD.
Yeah, this is it. Good luck this weekend. Watch those games. We'll let you
Yes.
know all the updates on Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, my name is Sierra.
I'm Dom, and thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.
DomTheBomb.com.
Yes. Have a good
GG.
night, and GG.